So what's the Grape Explorer talking about today? So we live in a huge world out there, and there's so many places to discover, especially in the wine world. But there's some areas that just, don't seem to get a lot of loving from the wine community. So I'm here today to show you an area that I think is just absolutely fabulous, and it's actually called Australia. And this is a producer that I found here. It's called Lambert. But what's interesting about this producer, and then I'm going to talk about the area where it's from, because it's in the Barossa Valley. So if we look on our map right here, we can identify the Barossa all the way over here. And you can see it's right here, the Barossa Valley. In South Australia, they call it right here. And you can see it on this map right here, which clearly identifies the Barossa Valley. And this is considered the premier, if you want to call it, appellation in Australia for a number of reasons. We talk about the history down there, because you started to really see the foundation of this industry in the 1800s, where you got a lot of German immigrants there, obviously British immigrants because it was a British island. But at the same time, it's a fascinating culture, but nobody really pays attention to it. I'm going to tell you my past. I always say the past, the present, and the future. I was an importer of Australian wines close to 30 years ago, when Australian wine was a hit. And I was the importer of Peter Lehman, which is one of the top producers in Australia, and he was in the Barossa Valley. So I got a chance to really learn all about this area. But, because, I can only do so much here in the wine world. But my passion never leaves me. My history never leaves me. So that's why I'm here to talk about this particular producer, Lambert, who's carrying the torch here in Barossa Valley. And if you look on this map here, this is also Hugh Johnson's book that goes into detail about South Australia and in the Barossa Valley. And this is just a beautiful area. So it's quite close to Adelaide. And I wanted to also point out what we picked out here. This is actually an Australian cheddar. It's made of pure cow milk. And it is from the Adelaide Hills, which is close by to Barossa, though I thought it'd be a really good pairing. I'm always one that tries to pair wine and food, and especially cheese. A lot of people might not know Australian cheese. So the best area in all of Australia is this Adelaide Hills right here, because it's also very maritime, close to the sea. But let's talk about this wine, because this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And what's interesting about the wines from Australia, which a lot of people might not have experienced tasting, but you might have had a Shiraz in the past, and you might not have had a Cab. The Cabs are actually one of the best wines that they make there, and I think that Shiraz got all of the publicity back 20 years ago. People were drinking Shiraz, which is okay. I mean, it's a nice wine, but I think the Cabernet Sauvignon is actually the greatest red wine that Australia produces. And so we talk about small producers like this Lambert, but what is distinctive about Australian Cabernet is the fact that you get mint. Now, a lot of California wines used to have eucalyptus and that scent, eucalyptus trees, but you get a lot of that in Australia, especially from this wine right off the bat. You get that beautiful eucalyptus lift, tobacco, black orchard fruits, beautiful, just jumps out of the glass, the smell. But this is a really interesting wine. So I want you to zoom in a little bit on the label here. And we want to talk about, some of the distinctiveness, but you get plummy fruit, pencil lead, black olives. You get that sappy kind of fruit with the oak character, cedar notes. When I said black currants, you get that infused with mint. So it's a beautiful expression here. But what I wanted to really do is try this Australian cheddar because of the proximity of Adelaide's Hills and the Barossa Valley. So you take a little bit of cheese, you taste it first. Very saline, beautiful cheese. And then just try a little. And that's lovely, It enhances the cheese, it's beautiful. And I think that if you're out there searching for cheese, Ask your cheese merchant. You know, there are a lot of people who have cheese places where they go to have hundreds of cheese. Ask them, say, hey, do you have an Australian cheese? I'd like to try an Australian cheese. And by all means, this is the perfect pairing. Buy a nice cab. This is a $30 bottle of wine. It's not that expensive, but it's really top level wine. And I think that, this is the beauty of the wine world, that you can actually, you don't have to go to Australia, hop a plane and travel 24 hours on a flight to get down to the Barossa Valley. Buy a nice bottle and you're traveling there with the cheese and you're having a great expression of time. Again, this is Grape Explorer. I'm always talking about adventure in wines, and we found one here today, a Australian Cabernet called Lambert. Cheers.